Good morning, K1. This is a really exciting week. We have Holy Week this week, and there are some really awesome activities Mrs. Whalen has planned for you to help you kind of connect with Jesus and connect with this time and really focus on the importance of Holy Week. And we're also doing some spirit activities this week to get us excited and ready for spring break. So we're only going to have lessons for today and tomorrow. Then Wednesday, we're going to be able to catch up on any work that we need to from the week. And then Thursday, I'm just going to ask a question on Class Dojo for you guys to answer, just to take attendance, and then you can go off and enjoy your spring break. So we're going to go ahead and get started with our morning meeting today. All right, let's start with our calendar. Yesterday was the 5th day of April, which means today is the 6th day of April. On Friday, it was our 142nd day of school, which means today is our 143rd day of school. What day of the week was it yesterday? Yesterday was Sunday. And if yesterday was Sunday, today is Monday. And if today is Monday, tomorrow will be Tuesday. Awesome job. Oops. All right. And we have 2 new sight words this week. Our first sight word is not. And the motion we're going to do for not is we are going to shake our head and we're going to say, that is not mine. Not. And our second sight word is or. And our motion for or, we're going to kind of tap our chin like we're thinking about 2 options. And our sentence is, should I choose chocolate or vanilla? Or. That's our second sight word for the week. Let's look at our morning message. Good morning, Kinder Crew. Today is Monday, April 6th, 2020. What is one thing you did this weekend? Love, Mrs. Jones and Mrs. Whalen. So you can post on our Class Dojo something that you did this weekend. This weekend, I released our butterflies. All of our butterflies came out of their chrysalises, which is so exciting. So we took them out onto our balcony and we put them on the flowers and we watched them fly away and we took a video of it. So right after our morning meeting, I have a video for you guys to watch of us taking the butterflies out of the habitat that we had for them and letting them go off into the world and explore, which is really exciting. So I did that this weekend. And since today is our first day of Spirit Week, today is Pajama Day. So because I'm recording this on Sunday and I'm not wearing my pajamas today, I am going to post a video on Class Dojo of me tomorrow for our first day of Spirit Day, wearing my pajamas and enjoying my favorite book. So to join us on Spirit Day, you guys can post a picture of yourselves in your pajamas reading a book, and I'm going to gather all the photos together and put a collage together for us so that we can see each other enjoying our books and hanging out doing digital learning in our pajamas. So happy first day of Spirit Day, or of Spirit Week. And you can check out our calendar for the next couple days and what we're going to be doing. Very exciting. All right, let's get started with our lessons after you check out this video of our butterflies. For your math review page, you're going to be looking at the Common Core review for 13-3. For number 1, you are going to fill in the bubble next to the picture that shows the shapes sorted by size. So which picture here has a group of shapes that are all the same size? Let's look at number 2. For number 2, you are going to fill in the bubble next to the picture that shows the shapes sorted by shape. So which group here has all of the same shapes in it? And for number 3, you're going to circle the shapes to sort them by color. Circle the shapes to sort them by color. Mathematicians, today we're going to continue talking about sorting, and we're going to talk about sorting groups using more than one attribute. So if we have a group of objects, we can sort them in more than one way. And I'm going to show you 2 ways that you can sort objects. And then in your math work today, that's exactly what you're going to be doing. You're going to be looking at a group of objects, and you're going to be figuring out different ways that you can sort them. And the 2 ways that I'm going to show you are that you can sort them by size and you can sort them by color. So if I were looking at this group of shapes that I have here, the first thing I might do is I might choose to sort them by size. So if I were going to sort them by size, I want to look here to see which shapes are the same size, and then I can put them in a group together. So by looking here, I'm going to circle the items that I think would go in my group based on their size. So I'm going to go ahead and circle this shape, and this shape. All 3 of these shapes are the same size, so I could sort them by their size. Another way that I could sort the shapes in this group is by their color. So I'll go ahead and erase this. And now I'm going to look at these shapes again, and I'm going to sort them based on their color. So looking here, the shapes that would go in the same group would be this shape, and this shape, because they are all the same color. They are all red. So in your math work today, you're going to be looking at different groups and sorting them by more than one attribute. You can sort them by their size, you can sort them by their shape, you can sort them by their color. So when you're looking at your math work today, make sure to pay attention to their attributes and figure out how to sort them. Readers, you did a great job last week helping me retell our story, A New Friend. You paid attention to the characters, the setting, the problem, and the solution. And what we're going to be talking about today is that when we retell our stories, it's also important that we pay attention to the beginning, middle, and end of our story, so that when we're retelling it to someone, it can really help them to figure out what is happening in our stories and our fiction stories. So we're going to read the book Tiny Goes Back to School that we looked at last week when we were being super detectives and figuring out our predictions and clues. So now we're going to be using this fiction book, and we're going to retell it with our beginning, middle, and end. So I'm going to go ahead and read the story. Tiny goes back to school. Tiny is a good dog. He does whatever I say. Watch. Sit, Tiny. Oh no! Shake, Tiny. Oh no! Stay, Tiny. Oh no! You need to go back to school. Come on, Tiny. It's okay. There are a lot of dogs. That makes Tiny happy. That makes Tiny very happy. No, Tiny, get down. No, Tiny, come back. The teacher comes. He brings treats. Now Tiny is good. Sit, Tiny. Shake, Tiny. Good boy. Sit, dogs. Shake, dogs. Stay, dogs. Good dogs. Tiny is a great teacher. Now we need to think back in our book that we just read, and we need to figure out what happened at the beginning, what happened in the middle, and what happened at the end of our story. Now, we're not going to include every detail that happened in this story because then we would just be reading the book again. We just need to remember the important parts that happened at the beginning, middle, and end so we can give a summary of what our story is about. So not every detail, but just the important things that happened in the beginning, middle, and end. So let's think back to the beginning of our story. What was happening at the beginning of this story? And you can go ahead and say it out loud at home. What was happening at the beginning of this story? At the beginning of this story, Tiny was not following the commands. Okay. What happened in the middle of this story? So after Tiny was not following the commands that his owner was giving him, what happened next? Tiny had to go back to school. Exactly. And after Tiny went back to school, what happened? There were a few things that happened, but remember, we want to think about what happened at the end. So in general, at the beginning, Tiny wasn't following the commands. I didn't say every command that he didn't follow. I just said in general what happened. And for the middle, Tiny went back to school. But I don't necessarily need to say everything that happened when he went back to school. I'm just telling you generally what happened in the middle. So then what happened at the end of the story? At the end of the story, Tiny followed the commands and taught the other dogs. Awesome job. All right, so I now have the beginning, middle, and end of my story. At the beginning, Tiny was not following the commands, so in the middle, Tiny had to go back to school, and at the end, Tiny followed the commands, and he even taught the other dogs or helped the other dogs to learn. So that's the beginning, middle, and end of our story, Tiny Goes Back to School. Now, I want you guys to look at a fiction book of your own today, and you are going to map out the beginning, middle, and end of your story. So you have a worksheet where you have the beginning, middle, and end written for you, and you can choose to either draw a picture or write what happened at the beginning, middle, and end. Writers, today we're going to be talking about nonfiction pictures. You guys have been doing a wonderful job with your nonfiction books. You've written details, you've made sure that you're writing just facts, and you've really been thoughtful about the types of facts that you're writing in your nonfiction books. So now that we focused a lot on the writing that we've been doing, we're going to turn to a different part of our nonfiction books, which is the pictures that we have. And we're going to talk about what we notice about nonfiction books that's different than fiction books. So I'm going to read a few pages to you out of this nonfiction book about bats, and I want you to really pay attention to the pictures and think about what do you notice that these pictures have, and then we're going to go ahead and make a list. Let's go ahead and take a look at this first page of our nonfiction book. This page says, a few bats hunt for larger prey such as frogs, birds, or mice. Some people think all bats suck your blood. This is not true. Only 3 kinds of bats drink blood. This group is known as vampire bats. They mostly feed on the blood of animals like cows and deer, not humans. So now I want you to look over here at the picture. What do you notice that this picture has on it? Okay, so keep that in mind, and we're going to look at the next page. Did you know that while you're fast asleep, bats are busy filling their bellies? Bats are nocturnal, meaning they're active at night. This way of life has many advantages for a bat. Insect-eating bats often feast on bugs that come out after dark. Pollen and nectar-eating bats might feed on plants that only open at night. Nectar is a sweet liquid made by flowers. So now there's 2 things on this nonfiction page on the picture. So down here, this says bat words, and it says nocturnal, the state of being active at night, and nectar, a sweet liquid made by flowers. And then up here, it says thousands of wrinkled-lipped bats leaving a cave at dusk. So think about what you notice about this picture. All right, and our last page. Scientists call bats Chiroptera, a Greek name that means hand wing. That's because bats have 4 fingers and a thumb just like us. A thin layer of skin connects the fingers. This forms a wing. Bats also have a sensitive nose and big ears. Their big ears help some bats see with sound. And now over here on the picture page at the top, it has a little question, and it says, what did the bat say when its buddy asked, what's up? The ground. So that has a little joke on it. And then look here, look at all of these different words that are on the picture. It says coat of fur, 4 fingers, thumb, sensitive nose, big ears, sharp eyesight, and wing. So think about, what does this picture have? Okay, now let's go back to our list and write down some of the things we noticed about this nonfiction book. Writers, what are some things that you noticed when we were reading this book? Let's look at the first page here. The first page we read here, this was the page. And let's look at this picture. Up in the corner, it says fringed-lipped bat eating a frog. So now up here, this is not a complete sentence. Does anyone know what this is called? If you know what this is called, you can say it out loud at home. This is a caption. So this is just a short little snippet of what is happening in this picture. It's not a complete sentence, but it's just a little bit of information to tell the reader what's happening in this picture. So, or what this picture is. And this is a fringed-lip bat. So now we know what kind of bat it is and what the bat is doing. So one thing that nonfiction pictures have is they have captions. So they have just a little bit of information on their pictures to tell their reader what the picture is of, okay? What about this page? Was there anything you noticed that was on this picture? So again, up here, this picture has a caption telling the reader exactly what's happening in this picture. And down here, this says bat words. So this picture also has definitions written on it. So maybe there's a definition of something that's in the picture. So for example, this is at nighttime, so that's why they have the word nocturnal and nectar, and those are written here. So you might also have definitions in your nonfiction pictures. And then let's look at our last page. What do you notice on this nonfiction picture? So we pointed out all of the different body parts that are here on the bat. So these are called labels, and we've used labels before in our fiction books, but it's really important to have labels in nonfiction books because this page was talking all about the bat's body. And so once you've read about it, now when you look at the picture, when you're writing a nonfiction book, it really helps your reader to figure out what you're talking about when you can point to each part of the body that you're talking about in your writing. So labels are really important in a nonfiction book. So I'm gonna go ahead and write labels. So writers, what I want you to do today is go back into your nonfiction books, and you're gonna see if there's anywhere that you could use some of these nonfiction picture strategies. So is there a place that you could write a caption and tell us what is happening in this picture? Remember, it doesn't need to be a complete sentence. Is there a place that you might need to write a definition of something? Or is there a place where you can label your picture to tell us exactly what the different parts are? So you don't need to use all of these on all of your pictures, and some of your pictures might not have any of these, but based on the book we looked at today, I want you to look back in your books and see, could you use any of these in your nonfiction pictures? Go ahead and take a look, writers. For social studies today, we're going to be talking about something that we say every day during flag salute. Does anyone know what that might be? The Pledge of Allegiance. So we're going to be talking about the importance of the Pledge of Allegiance and what it stands for and all of the words that we use when we say it. So we're going to start by reading this book, Liberty and Justice for All. In the United States of America, we have many important traditions. One of our most patriotic traditions is saying the Pledge of Allegiance. When we say the Pledge of Allegiance, we stand and put our right hand over our heart. We turn and stand facing the flag. We take off our hats to show respect for the flag. Then we say, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. People say the pledge in schools and before sporting events and government meetings. The Pledge of Allegiance was written by a man named Francis Bellamy over 100 years ago. We say the Pledge of Allegiance to show that we are proud of our country. We also say the Pledge of Allegiance to show that we honor our country and the men and women who have fought for our rights. Saying the Pledge of Allegiance is an important American tradition. And kindergarten for social studies today, you have your own Pledge of Allegiance booklet that you can color, and then also a Pledge of Allegiance worksheet. Thanks for another great day of learning, kindergarten. Don't forget to check out Class Dojo for our spirit activity for today, our pajama reading day, and check me out in my super cool pajamas reading my book. And I would love to see pictures of you guys in your pajamas enjoying your books. So have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you back here tomorrow for our next day of Spirit Week. Bye, kindergarten.